Okay, guys, make sure you manifest and just have a super good morning routine. I said no rich person ever. Not a single one. Year after year, you are literally bombarded with hundreds, if not thousands, of morning routine content, videos, TikToks, Instagram, you name it. Productivity gurus, the lifestyle influencers, the self-help industry as its entirety have all tried to convince you that the secret to success is waking up at 5 in the morning, meditating for 20 minutes, doing your stretches, reading for an hour, making your smoothie bowl, walking in nature, and then maybe, just maybe, you can start and get some actual work done. This is ridiculous, and this is what nobody talks about, okay? Every single minute that you spend on these routines is a minute stolen from your brain's peak performance hours. And I'm going to show you exactly why this might be the biggest productivity scam in our generation. I have never, ever in my life been a morning routine guy. Never, not once. And I can promise you that it holds zero weight on your success. And I know you probably think this is just another polarizing take. Okay, I get it. But let me explain this to you really quickly, okay? These self-help gurus as a whole have created themselves a $12 billion market, selling you that the idea of being successful comes from perfecting your pre-work rituals. Funny enough, there's no research that actually backs this. Okay? And the researchers actually decided to study high-performing individuals, not Instagram influencers selling courses, but people that actually run billion-dollar companies. And they found something that's pretty shocking. Their morning rituals weren't filled with rituals. It was filled with work. This right here is the fundamental lie that every morning routine industry is built on. They've convinced you that productivity is about preparation, and when productivity is actually about execution. Okay, success comes from one thing and one thing only, and this is your directed input. The more input that you have towards your actual goals, the more successful you're going to become. What a shocker. But this needs to be directed input, like I said. So if you want a successful business, you need input that is directed towards your business. Your 90-minute morning routine puts zero input directed towards your business and your goals. Therefore, it holds precisely zero weight on your success. At that point, the preparation is starting to become more important than the thing that you're actually preparing for. Think about it. If you spend 3 hours on a morning routine and then you work for an hour and a half, you put more time, input, and emphasis on the preparation than the actual damn thing that you need to do. Now, let me take you inside your brain a little bit, because there's actual neuroscience that exposes why this entire industry is built on fundamental misunderstanding, or I honestly just think it's lies, about how your mind actually works. So as soon as you wake up, your brain is in this state known as the hypofrontal state. And this is when your prefrontal cortex, which is like kind of the part that handles like the complex decision making, the creative problem solving, the strategic thinking, but more importantly, it's firing at its absolute peak. And so there were some studies from Harvard and MIT that literally show that your cognitive performance is at 20 to 30% higher in the first 2 hours of your waking day than it will be for the rest of the entire day. Okay, so that means in the morning, those first 2 hours, you're going to be performing 20 to 30% better than you will throughout the rest of the day. And this is the time that you're spending with your morning routine. You need to understand that during this peak time, your memory is better, your focus is deeper, and your ability to solve complex problems is literally at its daily maximum. This isn't just about being alert. This is about your brain's actual computational power. And this is the work that actually moves your business forward. Your brain is already operating at 70% of the capacity. You've literally burned through your cognitive peak hours on activities that require zero mental horsepower. You can do all of that stuff without using your peak cognitive abilities at first thing in the morning. But here's the deeper psychological manipulation that's happening. The morning routine industry, like I said, is a billion-dollar industry, have weaponized your productivity anxiety. They have literally created this narrative that if you don't have an elaborate morning routine, that you're just not serious about being successful. They made you almost feel guilty for wanting to just wake up and get to work. They've convinced you that immediate productivity is somehow rushing or unbalanced. And this is a classic displacement of behavior, to be honest. Instead, you get to just feel productive by optimizing your pre-work rituals. This is ridiculous, and it's procrastination, and it's disguised as self-improvement. The morning routines have just become like a security blanket, a way to avoid vulnerability of putting your actual ideas and work into the real world. Because as long as you're still preparing, you're never actually going to have to face the possibility of failure. And this is what's funny, because they're not going to tell you this, but really quickly, I mean, every single person that I know would rather fail at something meaningful than succeeding at looking productive. I mean, what's the point of that? So what should you do instead? Let's break this down. Well, here's what high performers do, and it's devastatingly simple, okay? In fact, I call it the peak performance protocol. And you might want to grab a pen and paper because it's really deep. No, not really. You can just rewatch the video as many times as you want, okay? But the point is, step 1 of this protocol is just minimizing your morning friction, okay? Your goal is to go from unconscious to productive in less than 15 minutes, okay? Wake up, basic hygiene, basic hydration, and you're at your desk while your brain is still firing on all cylinders. The name of the game is to get to your desk and start working as fast as you can, because you only have this 2-hour window in which you're actually performing at your peak capabilities. You don't need perfect lighting. You don't need a ceremonial coffee. You don't need to journal. You don't need to meditate. You don't need to exercise or any elaborate breakfast to get to damn work. Okay? You just literally need exactly 3 things, which are human consciousness, basic human maintenance, and a simple place to work. And then next, which leads us to step 2, which is going to eliminate all unnecessary decision making. Every single decision that you need to make in the morning is cognitive bandwidth stolen from your real work. So instead of waking up and writing your to-do list, I need you to save all of those precious brain cells. And instead, you need to plan tomorrow, but today. And if possible, try to wear the same clothes every single day. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Meta, is famous for wearing the same trusted gray t-shirts every single day. And he didn't just start wearing the same outfit every day because he lacked creativity. No, it's because he understood that creativity was finite and he wasn't going to waste it all on a wardrobe decision. So you need to automate every single possible morning choice the day before. And then step 3, super simple, okay? And it's something that most people struggle with by far, but it is also the most important, and that is to protect your cognitive peak hours. Like I said, those first 1 to 2 hours that you wake up need to be absolutely sacred. No emails, no social media, no news, simply no input from the outside world. I promise you, no input from the outside world, because this is when your brain can do its most valuable work, solving complex problems, creating new solutions, and making strategic decisions. The morning routine industry has trained you to fill this precious time with consumption, reading 100 pages, listening to self-help podcasts, and absorbing other people's ideas. But peak cognitive hours are for creation, not for consumption. And here's what this actually looks like in practice. Instead of doing your 2-hour morning routine, you now have a 10-minute morning sequence. You're going to simply wake up, put your clothes on, brush your teeth, water, sit down, and start working on your most important task. That's it. That's literally it. No, you don't need your meditation app. No, you don't need your journaling prompts. No, you don't need an elaborate breakfast. No, you don't need your Instagram stories or your morning setup. Just you, your brain, at its peak capacity, and the work that actually matters. Now, here's some key insights that the productivity industry, is that what you call them, doesn't really want you to understand, okay? Everything else can happen later. When your brain is tired anyway, everything else can literally happen later. You can do all of the weird stuff that you guys like to call productivity. You can do that stuff later. Just don't do it when your brain is at its peak. Don't do it. It doesn't make sense to do it. Your energy naturally is going to be lower during the end of the day, so do it then. Read and consume content when you're mentally exhausted and can't do creative work anyway. The morning routine industry has literally convinced you that the order doesn't matter, but the order is absolutely everything. Timing isn't just important. In fact, it's the entire game. And one thing I want to know is I'm not trying to say that self-care doesn't matter. I'm not saying that meditation and exercise and reflection aren't valuable. They completely are, actually. But what I'm saying is do not do them at your cognitive peak hours. It's like literally taking a Ferrari and then just going to the grocery store. I mean, it works. It works, but you're just massively underutilizing your most powerful resource, okay? You literally only have 16 working hours a day. And high performers like myself understand this. And we understand that energy is finite and timing is everything. So do not waste these hours on some ridiculous morning routine. I'm telling you right now that the morning routine culture has convinced an entire generation that productivity means having more elaborate preparation rituals, when productivity actually just simply means getting the most valuable work when your brain is the most capable of doing it. Everything is about direct input and nothing else. Your morning routine literally puts 0 direct input towards your actual goals, which means it holds 0 weight on your actual success. Honestly, I'm gonna give you a little challenge, all right? You think you can handle the challenge? You think you can handle it? I want you to track exactly how long it takes for you to go from waking up to doing your first meaningful work task. Then cut that time in half by eliminating everything that is not absolutely essential. Use those reclaimed peak cognitive hours to actually just work on the things that actually move your life forward. And I guarantee you're going to accomplish more in your first 2 peak hours than most people accomplish in their entire day with elaborate routines. Because at the end of the day, nobody ever built a successful business by perfecting their morning routine. It's never happened. I guess Brian Johnson to some degree. Majority speaking, they built it, directing their peak mental energy towards solving real problems and creating real value. So I guess that's it. Choice is yours. You can either spend your morning with elaborate morning routines and waste your cognitive peak hours trying to optimize your morning routine, or you can just simply optimize your life and be more successful, more monumentally successful than anybody else in the world, because you just do the thing that actually directs input towards the thing that actually matters.